All right, so today we're going to do a little bit shorter, but hopefully a fun project for you guys. Today we're going to use our CAD system to make our own college logo coasters. So what we're going to do is first we have to create the base for the coaster. So we're going to eventually put a logo on it, and you'll kind of see what it looks like when we're done. But we're going to be using a different system than we've done in the past. So everything we've done to this point are things that could be generally 3D printed, which is additive manufacturing, meaning that we're building layers up on top of other layers, and eventually we come out with a three-dimensional product. Today what we're going to be doing is we're actually going to be designing something that we're going to use the laser cutter for. And you'll see that there's some videos that explain how laser cutting works and what G-code and CAM versus CAD is. So you'll want to watch those videos and take the quiz on that. But basically the idea is that instead of adding layers as we go, we're removing things. And in essence, it's going to trace the shape that we're going to make. Now, a simple coaster is a circle, right? So you could go as simple as going here, creating a sketch and doing a certain point circle. You want to make sure it's a decent sized circle. So if I go normal here and I dimension that, you might want to figure out exactly how big a mug is or a general cup is and go with the dimension. I'm just going to put 5 in here. That may or may not be correct. So you do need to go and verify that on your own. But let's just say that that's a 5-inch coaster. That's a pretty big coaster, I think, in my mind. So that's a 5-inch diameter. No, it's not a radius. So I've created the sketch. I have this circle. That's going to be the outline of my coaster. I'm going to select it and extrude it. And I'm just going to do this a 1/2 inch. I would strongly recommend that you do your extrusion, whatever shape that you make it, a 1/2 inch. Now, keep in mind, you could make the whole thing the shape of a college logo if you wanted to. You could add zigzags to it. You could have little cutouts in it. However you want to do it, be as creative as you want to. You can make a square. You can make a circle. All different types of shapes. It's completely up to you how you want to do things. But once I've gotten this, I then have to do something special. So in our current environment, if we wanted to actually take this and get it into the laser cutter, it's not possible. The laser cutter requires what's called an SVG, or a scalable vector graphic. And the CAD system is not designed to give you that. So what we have to do is we have to use an add-on from their app store in order to do that. And the add-on is called Kirimoto. So we're going to go to the app store, and you'll see where it says CAM. And if you click on CAM, there's a few different ones that are options. You'll notice some say connected desktop app, which means it has to be installed. This visual CAM and on-create CAM, you could use those. The problem is that they require you to pay for them. The OnCreate had some issues. So Kirimoto is actually an independent website. You can go to Kirimoto's website and do the same stuff. It's just nice that it actually has it in here. So what you'll have to do is you'll click on it over here on the right. It'll say sign up for a plan. You'll have to sign up, use your email address to create an account with it. Once you've done that, it will be integrated into Onshape, and you won't ever have to leave Onshape in order to get it. So just go and follow the steps. It may take a couple of times of refreshing before it does actually come through, but the idea is that once you get connected, you can go in here and actually use it. So if we go and look at our plus tab over here, which we've used before for various part studios, if we click on that, you should now have where it says add application, Kirimoto. And so you're going to click on Kirimoto, and it will create another document tab inside of this document. And you'll notice that the part that I created, Part Studio 1 and Part 1, is in here. So basically anything that you have, you could put in here. So I'm going to click on Part 1, and it's going to drop it into place there on the screen. And you'll notice that I can move it around just like I could in Polar Cloud and Onshape and those kind of things by just left clicking to drag the grid around, right click pans left and right. So over here on the left where it says mode, you'll want to choose laser cutting. And then over here, you'll see some buttons: arrange, slice, preview, export. We'll get to those in a second. And then over here where it says settings, your build area should be 495, your depth 279. These are not terribly important because we're going to export this out anyways as an SVG. This layer height is the only number that you really should have to change. And it's very important that you do this correctly. So if I click on the object itself, I should get a little blue bar down here, and it says width is 127, depth is 126.96, height is 12.7. So what you want is to put that height number 12.7 in here. Why are we doing that? Well, Kirimo is designed to take something like this. Let's say that this was actually a complex shape, and I wanted to cut it out and glue it together. Like, let's say this was a chair. I could cut out each of the legs, and I could cut out the base and the back, and it would make one big chair that I could then glue or stack together. In this case, since we're only doing one layer, it's just our coaster, we're only cutting one coaster out, the layer height has to be exactly the same as the object itself. Now, if I didn't do that, let's just say I did 0.25. So I have 1/4 inch layers, and I then go to slice. You'll see here how it looks like the interior went away, but you'll see all these yellow lines. What that means is now that this coaster has been created like that, it's going to try to cut a bunch of these. So if you actually arrange them, we go preview here, see how now I have a ton of coasters. That's not what I want. I only want one of them because the idea is that we're going to cut one out and put our logo on it. But this is how the slicing effect works. So if you had something like a cylinder or something like that that you did want to make multiple slices of and then glue it together or put it together, then you could do that. But that's not what we want. So I'm going to go back here to arrange, and I'm going to drag this guy around back here to where we were. I'm going to click on it just to verify it's 12.7 is the height of it. So 12.7 here means that we'll have one layer. So now when I click slice, you'll see there's only one circle. Okay. Keep in mind, if this just disappears, then you may just have to refresh Onshape a few times. Sometimes Kirimo works really well. Every now and then the circle will disappear. You'll get nothing. If that's the case, again, you can either refresh it or just close out of it, go back into it. You might have to try it a couple times for it to work. So those are the only settings that we really need to do. So again, I went in here, I clicked laser cutting. I changed the layer height to 12.7, which is what I had on that. I hit slice just to make sure I see that one circle. And then I'm going to hit export. And I'm going to give it a name. Now, this should be your name - coaster, so that I know that's yours. And you'll see it says download as SVG is what we want. And I'm going to save it. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in Glowforge and import this. Now, from this point, what you would do is you would submit that file to Classroom, and I'm going to arrange and cut all these for you guys. But I do want you to see in the background kind of what's going on. So you'll submit this, and you'll submit the file that you want to have cut on top of this to Classroom. So I'm now in the Glowforge site, and I'm going to upload my coaster shape. I'm going to open it. And it takes it a second for it to process, but then it'll populate in. So this is actually the bed where things will get cut. So I put material like a wood or acrylic or something like that in there. So I'm just going to arrange this over here, and then I'm going to add some artwork to it. So this, if I go and click on it, you'll see that it's got a cut option. So in essence, it's just going to cut this line out. So again, it's just an outline. It's going to cut a circle in the material all the way through. Now, obviously, I don't want to do that for my logo. I want my logo to look really nice. So I've chosen Smokey here. He's the mascot for the University of Tennessee. And I'm going to put him on this coaster, but I'm only going to engrave him. So there he is. I'm going to shrink him down a little bit. And then I'm going to put him right here on my coaster, try to kind of center him up. And then what we'll do is you'll notice where it says settings here, he's going to be engrave. And so I'll go in there and sell the engraving settings. And so it'll engrave him, but cut the circle out. So anything that's an image, it can only engrave, but SVGs, it can actually cut. So that's what I'll do for each of yours. It will cut it out. It will then engrave this. They will be in wood. You can then seal that wood if you'd like, and now you have yourself an awesome coaster. So what you have to do, you have to create your coaster shape. You then have to export it as an SVG, and then you have to submit that and the file that you want of the mascot or whatever engraved on top of it. You have to submit those two files to Classroom for the day 26 assignment, and then I will cut them and give them to you. So that's how it works. And then once I put the material in, it'll detect it. I'll hit print. It'll cut everything out, and we'll be good to go. So key things to remember, this is subtractive manufacturing. So we're removing material rather than additive, which is adding on like 3D printing. So we have to use different file types to be able to do subtractive because it's a different process. So make sure you watch the related videos on this, on how laser cutting works, what the glow forge is, all those kind of things. Take the quizzes and do your outline of your coaster. Be as creative as you want to be. Like I said, this is just a straight circle. There's so many other options that you could choose. So be creative, and then send those to me by the due date.